What does it feel like to face a player who makes your entire game plan collapse before the first pitch even lands? The San Francisco Giants thought they were prepared. They had studied the footage. They had run the analytics. Their coaching staff had spent weeks breaking down tendencies, pitch sequences, and batting patterns. They walked into that series believing they had done everything right. They were wrong. By the time the final out was recorded, players inside the Giants' dugout were exchanging glances that said everything words couldn't. One staff member, speaking privately after the game, summed it up in a single sentence that has been echoing through the organization ever since. "We never imagined it would be this much. This wasn't just a loss. This was a lesson." A brutal, humbling, eye-opening lesson delivered by one man, Shohei Ohtani. And what makes it even more remarkable is that the Giants are not a weak team. They are experienced, competitive, and professionally managed. Yet against Ohtani, they looked completely overwhelmed. So what exactly happened? And more importantly, why does this keep happening to every team that faces him? To understand the panic Ohtani creates, you first have to understand what makes him genuinely different from every other player in baseball today. Most fans watch Ohtani and see the results. The home runs that seem to defy physics. The pitches that break at angles that batters describe as simply unfair. The stolen bases from a man built like a heavyweight fighter. But what the cameras rarely capture is what happens before any of that. Ohtani arrives at the ballpark earlier than almost anyone. Not to socialize. Not to do interviews. He arrives with a specific plan already locked inside his mind. Every session, every warm-up rep, every moment of preparation is connected to a larger system that he has been refining for years. His preparation is not reactive. It is predictive. While most players study an opposing pitcher the night before a game, Ohtani is already thinking 3 series ahead. His mental database of opposing pitchers, their tendencies at different counts, their go-to sequences in pressure situations, all of this is organized, reviewed, and updated constantly. This is precisely why the Giants were caught off guard. They prepared for a great player. They did not prepare for a player who had already predicted what they would try to do. In baseball, preparation is often spoken about in general terms. Coaches tell their players to study film. Managers talk about knowing the opponent. But Ohtani operates on a level of specificity that is genuinely rare. He doesn't just know that a pitcher throws a slider. He knows at what count, in what situation, and with what body positioning that slider is most likely to appear. When you face that level of preparation, even your best pitches stop working the way they should. There is always a moment in a series against Ohtani when the opposing team realizes their plan is not going to work. For the Giants, that moment came early. Their pitching staff had constructed a careful approach. Keep the ball away. Avoid the inner half. Work the low zone and force weak contact. On paper, it was reasonable. Against most hitters in the league, it would have been effective. But Ohtani is not most hitters. He sat on the first pitch with the patience of someone who already knew what was coming. When it arrived, slightly lower than intended, he didn't chase. He didn't flinch. He simply let it pass and reset his stance with the calm composure of a man who is never rushed and never rattled. The next pitch came in with more intention. The Giants' pitcher tried to go away again, this time with better location. Ohtani turned on it. The sound of bat meeting ball is something Giants pitchers described afterward with a kind of reluctant admiration. It wasn't just loud. It was final. The kind of contact that tells you immediately, before you even turn your head, that the ball is gone. And it was. In the dugout, the mood shifted. Not dramatically. Not with panic spreading across faces. But quietly, in the way experienced professionals recognize when something is not going according to plan. Adjustments were discussed. New approaches were proposed. The pitching coach made his notes. None of it mattered. Because the problem wasn't the pitch selection. The problem was the pitcher standing 60 feet away. Ask any opposing manager what makes Ohtani so difficult to game plan against, and you will hear the same answer repeated in different ways. It's not one thing. It's everything, combined. Other elite hitters can be approached with patterns. You can find tendencies, exploit mechanical habits, or create enough doubt with sequence variation that even great hitters make outs. That is the fundamental strategy of pitching at the major league level. With Ohtani, those patterns dissolve. His ability to adjust within a single at-bat is extraordinary. He can recognize a plan being executed against him, adapt his approach before the next pitch arrives, and completely neutralize a strategy that took days to construct. Pitching coaches who have faced him multiple times describe a frustrating experience of watching their carefully designed approach get dismantled in real time. But it goes beyond just hitting. When Ohtani takes the mound, the entire dynamic of the game shifts again. Hitters who had been sitting in the dugout, observing and building timing rhythms off their teammates' at-bats, suddenly find themselves facing something completely different. His velocity is elite. His breaking ball movement is among the most dramatic in the sport. And his ability to change speeds makes everything harder to time. The Giants hitters walked up to the plate facing a pitcher who was, by every measurable standard, operating at a completely different level. Not slightly better. Genuinely, noticeably, uncomfortably different. One Giants hitter, after striking out on a pitch that started at his eyes and finished at his knees, stood outside the dugout for a long moment before heading inside. No frustration on his face. Just the quiet expression of someone recalibrating their understanding of what is possible. What separates Ohtani from other great players is not simply talent. Talent is common at the major league level. Everyone on a big league roster is talented. What separates Ohtani is the physical foundation he has built through years of uncompromising discipline. His body management is unlike anything the sport has seen from a two-way player. The demands placed on a pitcher and a position player are fundamentally different. The recovery protocols, the muscle groups prioritized, the nutritional requirements, all of it shifts depending on what role he is filling on a given day. Ohtani manages all of this simultaneously. His dietary discipline, maintained with extraordinary consistency across a full major league season, gives him a physical recovery advantage that most players simply cannot match. While others feel the accumulated fatigue of a long season beginning to slow their reactions and reduce their bat speed, Ohtani maintains his output at a level that seems to defy the normal wear of professional baseball. The Giants faced a version of Ohtani in that series who was not running on adrenaline or riding a hot streak. They faced a player who was simply executing at his standard level. And his standard level was enough to make one of the most experienced organizations in baseball feel completely outmatched. This is the part that opposing teams find most difficult to accept. Because talent can be matched. Hot streaks end. But a system, a carefully constructed, disciplined, rigorously maintained system, that is something else entirely. Numbers tell part of the story. But the most significant impact Ohtani had on the Giants series wasn't visible in the box score. It was psychological. From the moment the series was scheduled, the Giants organization was operating under a specific kind of pressure that most opponents of Ohtani describe in similar terms. There is a weight that comes with knowing he is in the opposing lineup. Decisions get second-guessed before they are even made. Pitchers spend more mental energy on one hitter than they might spend on an entire opposing lineup under normal circumstances. That psychological taxation has real consequences. When a pitcher is too focused on avoiding the mistake pitch to Ohtani, he is not fully present in the at-bat that comes before or after. When a manager is calculating and recalculating how to deploy his bullpen specifically around Ohtani's spot in the lineup, he is spending cognitive resources that should be distributed across the full 9 innings. This is an advantage that Ohtani generates simply by existing in the game. He doesn't have to say anything. He doesn't have to do anything dramatic in the warm-up. His reputation, built at-bat by at-bat, start by start, season by season, does the work before he even steps into the box. The Giants staff admitted after the series that their preparation, while thorough, had consumed an unusual amount of attention. Resources that might have gone into other areas of game planning were redirected towards solving the Ohtani problem. They never solved it. This is not the first time an opponent has walked away from a series against Ohtani feeling this way. And it will not be the last. The pattern repeats itself across the league, against different teams, different pitching staffs, different defensive alignments, and different strategic approaches. Every team believes their plan will be the one that works. Every team studies the footage and finds something they think they can exploit. Every team sends their best pitchers to the mound with carefully constructed game plans. And then Ohtani makes them look unprepared. The reason this keeps happening is not because opposing teams are careless or unintelligent. Major league organizations are filled with extremely smart, experienced baseball people. The reason it keeps happening is because Ohtani is operating at a standard that current strategies were not built to contain. He is not a problem that can be solved with adjustments. He is a problem that requires an entirely different framework of thinking. And no team has found that framework yet. The Giants walked away from that series with their record affected and their confidence tested. But perhaps more significantly, they walked away with a clearer understanding of something that baseball is slowly coming to accept. There is Shohei Ohtani. And then there is everyone else. Not because of arrogance. Not because of circumstance. But because of everything that happens before the cameras turn on. The preparation. The discipline. The physical foundation. The mental composure. The refusal to accept ordinary standards in any area of the game. The Giants never imagined it would be this much. But anyone who has been watching closely enough already knew. This is simply what happens when the best player in the world shows up ready to play. And the real question for every team on the schedule going forward isn't whether Ohtani will perform at this level. The question is whether anyone will ever be truly ready for it.